This is the Franchise QB Podcast, where we empower entrepreneurs to win big in franchising. We huddle up weekly to educate our audience about the most successful small business model ever created, franchising.
Welcome to the Franchise QB Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Halpern, a 20-year industry veteran and entrepreneur. My mission is for listeners to achieve their American dreams of creating wealth and independence through franchise ownership. Every week, we speak with franchisees, franchisors, or vendors that support the industry. Thank you for joining us, and let's get started. Joining us in the Franchise QB Huddle today is Noelle Burak, Director of Franchise Development with Kitchen Guard. Welcome to the show, Noelle.
Thanks, Mike.
Great. So you've spent 10 years plus in franchise development with household name brands like Two Men and a Truck and Amco Total Car Care. Both are industry leaders in their respective categories. How did you discover franchising back in 2012?
So before getting into franchising, I was actually a hospice patient care coordinator, and I was working with different disciplines coming into people's houses, taking care of them at the end of life.
Okay.
And I was super burnt out. I was actually playing co-ed volleyball with a friend of mine, and she asked if I had ever thought about getting into franchising.
Wow.
And so that's kind of the start of it. She actually was part of the Two Men and a Truck team.
Okay.
And so I went through an interview process and started on development side of things with Two Men and a Truck.
Yeah, that is, hospice care is such a necessary thing, but gosh, I can see how you can burn out on that after a while because it's just so taxing emotionally, physically. So I can see that, at some point it's probably time for a change.
Yeah, I was in healthcare for a while. I actually have a degree in finance and economics and got into healthcare not too long after college and was in that space for quite a while and was just kind of burnt out, like I said. So jumped into franchising, and it took me to kind of where I am today. It was a great opportunity, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about Two Men and a Truck. So at what stage in their life cycle did you join the team?
So I started with them when they had about 230 locations.
And where are they today, just for some perspective?
So it's been what, 7 years, almost 7 years since I've been with them. When I left, we were at 400 locations.
Wow, so it doubled in your tenure.
Yeah, so we developed a new model in regards to having not only the large territories, but also mini markets to service some growing cities. And so, yeah, we grew it very well.
That's great. And then you and I met through Amco because I have a candidate that ended up becoming an owner through a resale in Phoenix. So tell us how you transitioned from Amco into Kitchen Guard. How did you find the brand?
So actually, I got contacted by Eversmith Brands.
Okay.
And
that's the parent company of Kitchen Guard?
Yep. So Eversmith Brands is a B2B commercial services platform. So all the concepts that they have are in the commercial B2B space. There's 4 brands. There's US Lawns, Clintar, Millicare, and Kitchen Guard. And so I was contacted by them and to see if I'd be interested in the development position as a director here for Kitchen Guard. And after reviewing the opportunity and having been with 2 really established brands, I was very excited about starting with a new emerging brand and growing its footprint across the U.S.
Yeah, it's great that they could tap into your resources as kind of a seasoned developer and bring them on, come to a new brand and help them kind of get off the ground. So tell us, what is Kitchen Guard?
Kitchen Guard is a B2B commercial services business. We service kitchen exhaust cleaning as our main core service. We do provide 3 additional services on top of that, but
Okay.
We are required by the National Fire Protective Association, or the NFPA, as the regulating body, but it's required for all commercial kitchens to be cleaned at a certain frequency so they are fire safe.
Okay. So what are some of those additional services? I know your core service offering is like full kitchen exhaust cleaning, but what else do you guys do?
So, yep, the core service, like you said, is from the hood to the exterior of the building, whether it be on the roof or on the side of the building.
Okay.
We do a filter exchange program where we rotate out the filters, which is the first line of defense to keep kitchen exhaust systems fire safe. We clean those and then bring them back. That happens generally on average every 2 weeks. We have a green steam, which is the cleaning of hard surfaces. So floors, walkways, patios, entryways, around dumpsters where that thick buildup of grease and grime can occur.
Yeah.
And then we also do a kind of repairs, kind of maintenance contracts on the kitchen exhaust system. So hinges, belts, fans, access panels, to make sure that, that the entire kitchen is fire safe.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of my career from, 2001 till 2020 in commercial kitchens doing development for fast food, QSR, full serve, casual dining chains. And for anyone that hasn't stepped foot in the back of a commercial kitchen, there's a lot that goes on back there, and these services are absolutely necessary. So let's talk about that frequency. So, like, how often are you guys out there to help a client with, their cleaning needs?
Yeah, so the amount of kitchen exhaust cleaning is dependent on the type of fuel that they burn, what food they cook, and the frequency of cooking that food. And so on average, a customer will get cleaned quarterly for kitchen exhaust cleaning. So if you're looking at like a wood burning pizza oven, though, that's something that is cleaned monthly. And they could potentially have a wood burning pizza oven on top of a grill, and then those could be cleaned at different frequencies. But for the purpose of the business, it's you would say quarterly on average.
Okay.
And then with the filter exchange, you've got multiple touch points creating the sticky customer is what we call it, just based on the fact that every 2 weeks you're going out and rotating those filters and cleaning those filters. And then the maintenance is just as needed, or again, if there's a maintenance contract on like the belts or the fans or the motors, just to make sure that they don't have a situation where the restaurant will have to get shut down. Again, though, it's anywhere there's a commercial kitchen.
Yeah, no, and it's nice to have that recurring revenue model, sticky as you call it, where the customer, these are needs-based services that happen with frequency. So that's really great from a revenue and projection standpoint. So out of the core services, what does the full kitchen exhaust cleaning, the quarterly cleaning, represent in terms of revenue? Is it half the owner's revenue? Is it a quarter? Like, what does that typically look like?
Yeah, it's about 65 to 75%.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So give us an example of some of your like chain restaurant clients, brand names that we'd be familiar with.
So we were founded in Escondido, California, which is right outside of San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And so that area, we service Five Guys Burgers and Fries. We've done Hilton. We've done SoFi Stadium, which is where they have the professional football team play out of. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of names that are in that area that you probably are familiar with. Those are not, again, though, national contracts. They're
okay. That's just who the corporate affiliate units service locally.
Yeah, since there's really not a large presence of a national brand that's out there, the industry itself is very antiquated. And so there's not a lot of there's really no national contracts that are out there. So if you walk into, let's say, a Five Guys Burgers and Fries, they'll make that decision at a local level because there's not a service provider across the U.S. that's going to be able to service. But that's something that we're looking to grow into in regards to Kitchen Guard being able to grow their footprint and then be able to service stuff across the nation and have national contracts.
Yeah, so with that national contract, you just kind of plug a franchisee in and they have a certain amount of revenue they can predict because of the number of units that are under contract operating in their territory. So yes, that would be great going forward. That makes sense. So you mentioned some other venues. So do you work with like all commercial kitchens, so hospitals, schools, government facilities, stadiums? Like, is any commercial kitchen in play as a potential client for your brand?
Yep. Anywhere where there's a commercial kitchen is potentially a customer.
Okay. Well, let me ask this question. Why would a restaurant owner hire Kitchen Guard instead of having their own employees perform these services in-house?
For several reasons. One, it's dirty. They don't have the equipment. So they don't have the proper ability to actually clean it the way that it needs to be done so that they're fire safe.
Okay.
A lot of times, people will say, hey, why can't they have a cook in the kitchen do it? Well, a cook in the kitchen's not going to get on your roof with a high industrial power washer and chemicals and be able to have it set up. And when are they going to do it? Our services are done at night. So a cook's not going to come in at night and be able to do that. So it's something that a restaurant's going to hire out.
Mm-hmm.
When you have like hotels, or I was actually just talking to a gentleman the other day, he works at a plant.
Okay.
And they have maintenance, right? And he's like, why wouldn't the maintenance person do it? Well, he said, I asked my maintenance guy, like, hey, will you start doing this? And they're like, no, like that's not part of what we do. That's not. So no matter what business you're looking at, it's really not something that part of your business is set up to perform something to keep you fire safe. And really the ultimate goal is where you're looking for, how do we become fire safe and make these businesses fire safe so that they're functioning and not having to worry about a fire or hurting employees or customers or anything like that.
Okay, great, thanks. So are there any other franchise systems in this space? And if so, what kind of makes Kitchen Guard unique as a franchise offering?
Yeah, the only national brand out there is a company called Hoods.
Okay.
Other than that, there's not a national brand that is a commercial exhaust cleaning company. Some of the things that differentiate us from Hoods, again, we provide all four of those revenue streams. Hood provides kitchen exhaust cleaning. And then when we look at it, is really professionalizing what we do with utilizing technology. So our customer will have a portal where they can access things to see what we did when we were there, before and after pictures. It also allows them to do billing. It communicates with them via text message. They can schedule appointments. So our technology platform, our technology deck that we have as a brand is probably one of the best in many industries. It's
Okay.
unheard of in the kitchen exhaust cleaning world. But again, our tech stack is the best in the industry.
Yeah, so if I'm an owner and I have 10 restaurants that are kind of scattered throughout multiple areas, I can count on this service. So every quarter you're going to come out, you're going to do the full commercial kitchen hood and exhaust cleaning, and it's kind of like a set it and forget it. Is that your ideal target when you're looking to find clients? I mean, clearly, I'm sure you're not going to turn down a single operator, but if you find kind of a group or a chain that has a handful of units, is that generally a good account for an owner?
Yeah, that's a great account for an owner. And with, like I said, our tech stack, that will allow them to get into a portal and they can actually see all 10 of their restaurants. And they can pull up schedules for each of them, billing for each of them. And our billing system allows us to bill up front and then have them do a monthly payment instead of having them get a big bill on a different cadence for each one of their locations, or getting bills for, the filter exchange on a biweekly basis. It just allows them to pay one monthly fee for all of it through the entire year for a contract. So like you said, it is very much a sit it and forget it. So they can focus on other things when it comes to running a kitchen.
Yeah, and I want to talk about what makes Kitchen Guard a great franchise opportunity. I see the value proposition for the restaurant owner, but to be a franchise owner, clearly this seems to be a home-based model where you have vans, you have technicians, you might have a flex industrial space to kind of, or a fenced-in lot kind of to store some materials. What is it like? What makes Kitchen Guard a great franchise opportunity when someone's kind of considering this versus what else is out there?
Yeah, so we do actually require you to have a building. It doesn't obviously have to be a storefront, but it is something where you would call a home base for your team, because they're
Okay.
going to be bringing stuff back to do the filter exchange cleaning there. Um, One of the other things that differentiates us is you're required to have a B2B sales specialist. That B2B sales specialist is called a fire life safety consultant. And they go out and engage customers face to face, get those contracts signed, and bring them back and get them into the computer system, communicate with the technicians. So a building is required so that the owner is not doing the work. So, and I say that each area of the business will have kind of their own expertise. So you'll have a B2B salesperson that will go out and be that fire life safety consultant. You'll have a kitchen exhaust cleaning team that will go out and actually do the cleanings. You'll have an admin person that will do answer phones, do scheduling, do some basic AR stuff. And then you'll also have a filter exchange warehouse person that will clean the filters. You'll have a filter exchange route that person will go out and collect filters and bring them back so they are cleaned at the warehouse. So it's really what I like to say is an executive model where
Okay.
you as an owner have the ability to have your teams go out, and that allows you to scale.
Got it. So you kind of talked a lot about the team. So how many human beings are on our team if I'm an owner that's operating the executive model? It's me and how many others?
Yeah. So if you're an owner that is actively engaged in the business, it would be a fire life safety consultant or your B2B sales specialist. You would have a tech team to start, which is a foreman and an apprentice.
Okay.
And then it would be you as the general manager or the owner.
I got it.
As the business grows, you're going to quickly add that admin person, and you're going to add a part-time warehouse person. By month 6, you should probably be looking at adding that second kitchen exhaust cleaning team, and then also adding your filter exchange person that will have their own route and a repair person.
Okay. So what does the day in the life look like for the executive owner day one, and then after that 6-month kind of time horizon, once you kind of have some accounts and you get your team humming away?
Yeah, so day one, that owner is obviously there working with their fire life safety consultant, managing that role, helping with kind of KPIs, strategizing how to bring in customers, and really networking.
Okay.
They're also managing kind of or overseeing the entire operation. So kitchen exhaust cleaning teams, they go out at night, but a lot of our technology stack and platform allows that business owner to meet them in the morning and do a debrief, engage them as employees, engage them as to how things went that evening when they were out, and making sure that there's nothing that happened during that kitchen exhaust cleaning that he needs to be aware of or she needs to be aware of so they can engage the customer. Managing the warehouse. So there's going to be warehouse labor that's during the day also, making sure that, accounts receivable and the P&L and marketing and all those things are into play. When you're a small business owner, I call it multiple spinning plates, right? You have every spinning plate going, and you ultimately have to manage all of that. So that's really what that owner is doing day one.
Yeah.
As the business grows, month 6, you're still doing a lot of the same stuff, but hopefully all those processes and procedures that we've trained you on and we have for Kitchen Guard are in place. And so it gives you a little bit more flexibility. And at that time, you're probably still going to be doing some major networking in your area. Just get your name out, engage customers, go out to dinner, with your wife, and have them go to a restaurant that you're looking at potentially providing service to.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of client acquisition, I know that getting involved in the community, getting your name out there for the owner really matters, because B2B client acquisition is different than B2C. Do you guys have any done for you digital marketing or anything like that that helps kind of build that base of initial customers for a new owner?
Yeah, so something that you said is interesting, Mike, is B2C is very different than B2B. And so in our arena of commercial exhaust kitchen cleaning and being in that B2B space, that marketing is going to be mainly of your B2B sales specialists.
Okay.
So we do have, we pull information from different areas where that person will have phone numbers, emails, contact information, but their goal is really engaging that customer face to face, scheduling appointments, going out and doing inspections at their location and showing them where they're currently at, where they're deficient, and what they need to do to become fire safe. And those conversations open up a lot of opportunity. About 70% of the time right now, kitchen exhaust cleaning companies are leaving clients at risk. And so being able to go in and show them up front, here's where you're currently deficient. It's a very quick sales cycle. And the fact that, again, it's not something they want to worry about, and they want to make sure that they're fire safe.
Yeah.
And
So it looks like, do you guys do a lot of sales training so that when your team goes in to speak with an owner, or whoever the decision maker is, they have to either bump the incumbent or they have to kind of educate them why it's a lot safer and more cost effective to hire your team as opposed to having their unskilled labor handling this position? So talk about that.
Yeah, so your fire life safety consultant or your B2B specialist we have extensive training. We've got training for them before they do in-person training with videos and a learning management system. And then they do a section where they come to our Escondido training center. They do classroom training, and then they actually do in-person training where they go out with our fire life safety consultant on actual jobs to see how that takes place.
Okay.
So in the field training. So there's an extensive training for that person to set up contracts, bring in contracts. There's also training, obviously, for the franchisee and how to manage that networking, looking at KPIs. And then there's also training for the kitchen exhaust cleaning team.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So franchise owner loves the model, wants to be part of this. What is the kind of market size? What's a territory look like for a Kitchen Guard franchise owner? And do you offer multiple territories? I'm assuming yes, especially because you guys are newer to market with the brand as a franchise system. So what is that territory going to look like?
Yeah, so we have large territories. So if you're looking at a B2C concept, usually what they look at is population, household income.
Yep.
Because that's not our customer, that's not what we can look at to determine a territory. So we look at the retail food service customers in a geographic area broken down by zip code.
Okay. So we're looking at the number of commercial kitchens that are our targets.
Yes. Yep. And so we try and get anywhere from 1,250 to 25 commercial kitchens in a geographic area.
Okay, got it. So who is the ideal candidate to become a Kitchen Guard owner? Are these people that are coming from corporate America? Are they current or former restaurant owners or come from that industry or something else? Who do you look for as an ideal candidate that will thrive in this model?
Yeah, really, business acumen. So right now we currently have 5 new franchisees. We've sold 8 territories.
Okay.
And if you look at kind of the makeup of the people that are coming in, they do have business background, whether it's them owning their own business or coming from the corporate world. But that business acumen, really being able to develop relationships and understanding the need of safety and commercial exhaust cleaning. We do have a general manager that is at one of our locations that it's not open yet, but they have a lot of restaurant experience. And I guess when you look at a lot of people, because the restaurant industry is so large, like kind of like you, people have at some point touched the restaurant industry. A lot of times when they're looking at the opportunity, they're like, hey, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I worked in a kitchen, or I realized that was something that needed to be done. I just didn't realize that it was regulated and required by law.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, because there's a lot of people I interact with that want to be, owners in the restaurant space. And it's a really, really difficult business. And some people are great at it. I mean, I spent half my career working with those folks, and a lot of them were very successful, but it's not for everybody. So something like this would enable them to be around the restaurants, but not necessarily have to deal with all of the traditional headaches that come along with, running a team and running a restaurant business.
Exactly. It's in that niche of the restaurant industry, but it's not, hey, I own a restaurant. But it has some of the benefits of being able to be in the industry.
Yeah, and it's a lot less expensive, and there's not a leasehold with the exception of the flex space. So let's talk about that. Item 7, how much does it cost for a franchisee to get in single territory to get this thing going?
Yeah, 173,000 to 308 is kind of the parameters in the franchise disclosure document in the item 7.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did notice that you guys have a tremendous amount of working capital built into there,
yes.
75 to 85K, which I really like, because a lot of times you'll see like 3 months of working capital, or, 20 grand, and it's just not enough. So, 75 plus is a really good place to have that extra liquidity for the business.
Yeah, you do not want to be undercapitalized with any business if you're opening up a business.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really, good starting point for a franchise in the service B2B space. So let's talk about item 19. What can you share with us in terms of financial performance representations? I know you guys are new to the franchise side, so this is more of an affiliate performance or the corporate units, but anything you can share with us in that regard?
Yeah, so just a little bit of history of that is the Kitchen Guard locations that we have are in Escondido and Commerce, which are both in California, in Southern California,
Okay.
sorry. And we purchased, or Eversmith Brands purchased, obviously we purchased those 2 locations. The one is now our corporate training center. So what we have in our FDD, or item 19, is the full P&L for the corporate store locations. So the 2 locations make up 3 territories.
Okay.
In 2023, which is our 2024 franchise disclosure document, we did just over $7 million in revenue out of those 2 locations.
It's a lot of revenue.
That is a lot of revenue. And it's broken down in the FDD to show that about 33% was out of our satellite office in Commerce, and 67% of that revenue was generated out of our now headquarters in Escondido.
And will the item 19 go to show gross profit and net income?
Yes. Yep. It's a breakdown of a full P&L. Everything you've ever wanted to kind of look at in regards to the business is in that.
Love it. That's great. Well, that's really helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, hey, revenue solves a lot of problems, and it sounds like, that's going to be a good P&L for someone to look at if they're interested in getting into this segment. So glad that you guys put the full P&L of the affiliates in there. This has been great, Noelle. I really appreciate you taking your time to share all this good knowledge with us about Kitchen Guard. Anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to add before we wrap up today?
You had asked about multiple territories. We do allow franchisees to have multiple territories. Well, out of our 5 franchisees, 2 of them are multi-unit. One of them has 3 locations. The other one has 2 locations. So we do allow multiple units, kind of with a staggered opening when it comes to the opportunity. But yeah, we're open in all major metro markets, which is awesome because there's a lot of availability. I'd be happy to talk to anybody that's interested in wanting to know more. I think we covered a lot on the call, Mike.
Yeah, I think we did too. So one last question I have for you. In terms of the geographic spread of the new franchisees that just came on board, are they all in California or are they elsewhere?
Yeah, no, we've got 2 in Colorado, one in Michigan, one in DC, one in Virginia, one in Maryland, one in Arkansas, and one in Alabama. So we
Oh, wow.
have
So you
them
guys are
kind of
really
all
scattered out.
over.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. Congrats on that early success. And I guess one of the things people always ask about is seasonality. And in your business, restaurants operate,
All year
almost
long.
every day of the year. So they're going to have to be cleaned every month or every quarter. So I can see that, isn't really an issue with this model.
Yeah, no, there's no seasonality to it. It's all contracted, so it's kind of like an annuity.
Yeah, love it.
Kind of what's coming in each month.
That's great. Well, if anyone listening would like to connect with Noelle to discuss Kitchen Guard, contact me at franchiseqb.com or on Twitter at QBFranchiseQB. I'll get you guys connected. Thank you, Noelle, for taking the time to get in the huddle and speak with us today about Kitchen Guard.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Franchise QB podcast, where you're at the helm of your future as a franchise owner. If you enjoyed the content, please rate the show and recommend it to anyone that might be interested in franchising. Make sure to visit franchiseqb.com to subscribe to my newsletter and for an actionable playbook to go from walk-on to legend in your new business. Follow us on Twitter at QBFranchiseQB and join us every week for a new episode. See you next time.
Visit franchiseqb.com to take the next step of your journey towards wealth, independence, and franchise ownership. And remember, when working for the man gets old, you must do something bold. Thank you for listening.